Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming SCS exams happening in February 2025. My name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for SCS at TCS. So let's look at the session plan. First things first, I'm going to share some shortcomings which I encountered when marking your papers. I did the same thing in previous week's workshop as well. I should say that things have improved, yet there are still issues in your answers. So I will be, based on your issues, I will be providing general feedback. Then I will direct your attention towards a mock exam 1 to be precise, from which I'm going to discuss a question which has everything to do with your P3 syllabus. And at the very end, I will be conducting a Q&A session. And let me remind you of the upcoming workshops which we have scheduled for you. So the E3 workshop is happening next Saturday at the same time. And similar to this session, I will be taking you through a question taken from your mock exam 1 concerning the E3 syllabus. And at the same time, I will be conducting a Q&A session. And the final workshop, which happens 2 or 3 days before your exam, I will be sharing last minute tips with you to make sure that you walk into your exam with a positive attitude, believing in your skill set. All right, so let's try to figure out what I spotted by going through your answers. So still, not all students have the same problem, but still some of you are deflecting from the requirement. This usually happens when you are under time pressured environments, although you are trying to spend some time to understand the requirement clearly. Halfway through your answer, you might deviate from the requirement. So that is exactly why I've asked you guys to reiterate each requirement in your own words in a simpler manner, with the intention of gaining a good understanding of each requirement, and at the same time making sure, whilst developing the answer plan, making sure that you always check and see whether your answer is 100% aligned with the requirement. So I was marking a paper yesterday to do with mock exam 4. And when marking the paper, the first question taken from mock exam 4 was a situation where, because of a data breach which we have experienced, the share price had dropped by 10% within the first 2 days. And the first question is to highlight the implications faced by the board as well as the company due to the share price drop. And the answer script which I marked yesterday, the student had primarily focused the attention towards coming up with recommendations with the intention of overcoming or preventing a data breach in the future. So although the scenario has everything to do with a data breach, the question or the requirement was for you to highlight the implications faced by the board and the company due to the share price drop. So it has nothing to do with the data breach. You are not supposed to talk anything about the data breach. Instead, you are primarily supposed to talk about how the share price drop is going to impact the company and the board. So likewise, in certain instances, I figured out that you would have you have not understood the requirement clearly. So with the intention of ensuring that you develop answers which are totally aligned with each requirement, you need to reiterate each requirement in your own words in a concise manner. I will explain how to do this in today's workshop when I'm taking you through the P3 question as well. And I spotted issues with answering technique because most students still have a tendency to include an introductory paragraph, which is not required, because in this introductory paragraph, I've spotted that you include information taken from the pre-scene, or you explain things which appear in the unseen or the scenario. So you are receiving an email from, let's say, your CFO. So there's absolutely no point of you reiterating what appears within the email or trying to explain, further explain the information which appears within the scenario to the CFO, because the CFO who is sending you the email is already conversant of what he included within the body of the mail. And the same should be said about bringing in pre-scene information unnecessarily. So most students start the answer by saying, Rotomyne is into this type of business and they have this amount of mines and we, sell to this amount of countries and whatnot. The board members are already conversant of what we are up to, what happens within the industry. So because of that, there's absolutely no point of you reiterating or re-explaining what appears within the pre-scene, what appears in each scenario, or what appears within the unseen. So get rid of the introductory paragraph because it adds no value. Simply get to the point straight away, because that's exactly what you do at office when you are responding to an email. You will never come up with unnecessary information. You'll, get to the point straight away, which will save you a lot of time. And at the same time, you are helping the other person who is going to read through your email and based on it, take some type of action. So don't include an introductory paragraph, and don't try to reiterate pre-seen or unseen information, because your board members are already aware of these things. And when going through your answers, I saw significant knowledge gaps. That's quite all right. If you're coming through an exemption route, this is usually the case because you won't have a good understanding of how to utilize each theoretical concept, because theoretical concepts at this stage, theoretical concepts are not named within the requirement. If you look at the operational case study exam or the OCS exam, the relevant theoretical element is highlighted within the requirement. So if it's something to do with activity-based costing, you'd see ABC being mentioned within the requirement. However, at this stage, at the SCS exam, this is not the case. If the examiner intends you to use something like the SF framework, the question will never mention or ask you to use the SF framework. Instead, the question would go as, evaluate this strategic option. So I've kept saying this thing over and over. So you won't ever see a theoretical element being named within the requirement, which makes your life a bit hard at the exam, because you need to have the capability of understanding which theoretical concept to use with the intention of providing holistic answers at your examination. So the same could be said about a question to do with stakeholder management. So the examiner will simply say, okay, recommend ways in which we can manage our stakeholders. So you need to know that when trying to manage stakeholders, we are supposed to use the Mendelov matrix. The examiner is never going to say, using the Mendelov matrix, come up with strategies to manage our stakeholders. So that is not going to be the way in which your knowledge is tested. It is your role to understand which syllabus element you should use with the intention of providing holistic answers. So that's exactly why you need to complete attempting all 6 mock exams, not just complete the 6 mock exams. You have to make sure that you conduct your revision after each mock exam, thereby redeveloping answer plans so that you gain a good understanding of how and when appropriate theoretical elements should be used when developing your answers. And at the same time, even if you had utilized the appropriate theoretical element, due to gaps in theory knowledge, you have come up with inaccurate answers, or you have conducted evaluations in an inaccurate manner. For instance, there was a question on the WhatsApp group about the SF framework. 2 or 3 days back, this question popped up, and one of the individuals had explained the SF framework within the WhatsApp group, and this explanation was inaccurate. This indicates that you don't have a good understanding of all theoretical elements. So that's exactly why you need to attempt all 6 mocks, and at the same time spend time to conduct your revision, thereby redeveloping answer plans so that you get a thorough understanding of what's highlighted within each syllabus element, and at the same time you know how to apply these theoretical concepts when developing your answers, because simply because of you explaining theories in depth, you won't pass this exam. The CFO or any of the board members are not interested to learn theory. Instead, they want to see whether you are providing evaluations, holistic evaluations, and whether you are providing justified recommendations. So that's exactly why you need to stick to our study process. And also, I figured out that the number of points which appears within each subtask, sometimes it's not up to the required level of standard. So, I suggested a way in which you are supposed to determine how many points you need to include within each subtask based on the weightages provided. I've highlighted these things in the third webinar as well as the previous workshop. And in today's session, I will also again reiterate how you need to determine how many points you need to include within each subtask. And once you have come up with your answer plans, I was marking a paper 2 days back, and one of you had only included the answer plan as the final answer, which should not be the case, which highlights the fact that you had not gone through what I taught you guys in webinar number 3, as well as what I taught you guys in last week's workshop. So in today's workshop, after explaining the logic behind the answer, I will take you through the suggested answer as well, so that you gain a good understanding of how your final answer should look like. As I've mentioned in the third webinar, as well as last week's workshop, your final answer should be in paragraph form. So for each point which you have included within your answer plan, you need to come up with a paragraph. So if there are 7 valid points within your answer plan, then you need to have 7 different paragraphs within your answer. If not, just because you provide answers in bullet points or answers in single line sentences, you are not going to get any marks at your examination. So these are the things which I encountered when marking your papers, and I hope you have understood what your shortcomings are. And in the upcoming weeks, I hope you'd take action to overcome these issues, because I've highlighted what you need to do to avoid these pitfalls in the future. All right, so that's the feedback which I wanted to share with you. So before we direct our attention towards the mock exam, let me quickly remind you of what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the SCS page. If you're yet to check the free content, click on this button and create a free user account. Once you have done so, you can access our dashboard. So click on this button and go to My Courses. And in front of SCS Free, you'd see the Access Content button. Please click on it. Then you'd gain access to the videos and workshops which we conduct, the recorded versions of the webinars and workshops which we conduct on a weekly basis via the videos tab. So if you missed out on last week's workshop, you can watch it in here. And if you're yet to watch the most important webinar, which is the answering technique webinar, please go watch the recorded version via the student dashboard. And you'd also gain access to the pre-seen mind map free of charge, along with the syllabus coverage document and the answer plan of the free mock exam. You will also gain access to the free mock exam, the question and the suggested answer. And via the exams tab, if you're yet to attempt mock exam 1, which is our free mock exam under exam conditions, please click on this button and attempt it under real exam conditions. We have developed an exam platform which is akin to the Pearson VUE system on which you attempt your real exam. So the best way to practice your answering, time management, and stress management techniques is to attempt each mock exam under exam conditions. So under the free content, you have the opportunity of attempting mock exam 1, a full 3-hour exam standard and pre-seen specific mock exam under exam conditions via our exam platform. So make use of these free resources. And if you're interested in investing on our paid content, check the sample material before you do so. And if you're yet to join the SCS WhatsApp discussion forum, click on this button and join it. If you have any questions, I will always address your concerns. And at the same time, I will be sharing a lot of free resources via this WhatsApp discussion forum, and I'll also keep you guys informed of the commencement dates and times of the weekly webinars and workshops via this WhatsApp group. And talking about what we offer 2 packages, the value pack and the premium pack. The value pack is designed for those who have already completed their E3, P3, and F3 OTQs. So you have already learned theory. So it's simply a matter of improving your application skills. So if you opt for the value pack, you'd gain access to the recordings of all webinars and workshops which we conduct on a weekly basis. You will gain access to 6 mock exams with suggested answers. So in addition to mock exam 1, which is our free mock exam, you will gain access to 5 additional mock exams. And when developing these 6 mocks, we have made sure to cover all syllabus elements so that you are 100% ready at your examination. And you'd also gain access to 3 pre-seen analysis videos. As you know, your pre-seen is divided into 3 main parts. So focused on each part, we have developed pre-seen analysis videos And once you have watched these 3 videos, you need not conduct your own research concerning the pre-scene. You need not do anything to really understand what appears within the pre-scene. We have covered it for you. And you'd also gain access to the annotated pre-scene, industry and financial analysis slides. So let me quickly show you what I'm talking about. So this is what our annotated pre-scene looks like. So once you have gained access to this resource, your life becomes extremely easy, because you need not do anything to gain a good understanding of what appears within the pre-scene, because we have come up with tutor notations with the intention of summarizing the entire pre-scene in an understandable manner. So this is the best way to make sure that you constantly keep yourself reminded about what appears within the pre-scene, because everything's summarized in here. And at the same time, as part of these annotations, we have highlighted probable exam scenarios which can be thrown at you at your real examination, and tied to these things, we have also highlighted the syllabus elements which can be tested. And when developing the mock exams, we have made sure to cover all these elements which are highlighted within the annotated pre-scene. So this is the best way to gain a good understanding of the pre-scene, and at the same time understand how the type of exam scenarios which can be thrown at you, and the syllabus elements which can be tested at your exam. And talking about the industry analysis slides, this is divided into 4 main parts. In the first part, we have defined your industry, so that you gain a good understanding of how your industry operates. Then we have also included information pertaining to the competitive landscape, and highlighted the industry trends. At your exam, scenarios will be developed based on the industry trends. And at the very end, we have provided real-world examples concerning 2 real-life companies, with the intention of making sure that you understand how real-life companies operate within your chosen industry. And similarly, we have evaluated the financial statements which appear towards the very end of your pre-scene document. So we have evaluated each financial statement in depth, yet making sure to keep things simple so that you can easily understand what appears within each financial statement. And at the very end, we have conducted a ratio analysis, and again, we have evaluated each ratio. And when doing so, we have also considered the financial statements of your closest competitor. Let's dig so that you gain a good understanding of where we stand in a financial sense against our closest competitor. So these are the things which you'd gain access to under the value pack. And you'd also gain access to top 20 likely issue slides, which indicate the most probable scenarios which can be tested at your exam. You'd also gain access to a case study familiarization kit. So after reading through this kit, within 10 to 15 minutes, you can gain an in-depth understanding about the technicalities of your SCS exam. You'd also gain access to a tutor-managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So after attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you cannot remember a certain theoretical concept, or if you feel that you need to brush up your knowledge, simply refer to the OTQ revision cards. In a jiffy, you are in a position to brush up your knowledge concerning different syllabus or theoretical elements which are covered within our mock exams. So the value pack is priced at £299. And talking about the premium pack is designed for those who are coming through the exemption route and those who had failed the SCS exam previously. So both these sets of students have the same problem. There are gaps in theory knowledge and issues with application. So if you are not too conversant with all syllabus elements covered in your E3, F3, and P3 syllabi, you cannot pass this examination. And at the same time, if you don't know how to apply each of these theories in a practical sense, considering the information presented in each scenario, again, without improving your application skills, you cannot pass this exam. So we have developed some additional resources under the premium pack on top of what appears under the value pack, with the intention of teaching you theory and making sure that you significantly improve your application skills. So under the premium pack, you'd gain access to the online mock exam platform on which you can attempt all 6 mock exams under exam conditions, which is the best way to fine-tune your answering, time management, and stress management techniques, which we have taught you in webinars 3 and 4. And you'll also gain access to one-on-one tutor feedback on the last 3 mock exams, namely mocks 4, 5, and 6. So let me quickly show you the type of feedback you'd receive if you opt for the premium package. As you can see, we have evaluated each paragraph in depth, and the objective of giving you this type of feedback is to make sure that you understand your shortcomings And at the same time, we have highlighted what you need to do to overcome each shortcoming as part of these annotations or tutor feedback which we have come up with. So throughout this answer script, you can see the type of feedback which we have provided. And at the very end, we provide mark allocations on a subtask by subtask basis. Not just mark allocations, we also indicate a success rate. So by looking at the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow, you can easily understand the subtasks in which your performance was substandard. So after receiving tutor feedback, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans once more. When doing it, you are supposed to solely focus your attention towards the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow. That's the best type of revision which you can conduct closer to the exam, especially since you are running out of time. And we also provide general comments at the very end. So that's the type of feedback you'd receive if you opt for the premium pack. And you'd also gain access to answer plans of all 6 mock exams. This is the best resource out there to make sure that you significantly improve your theory knowledge and application skills, and at the same time understand how to structure your answers effectively. And this helps you with revision as well, because as per our study process, you are supposed to conduct revision by doing something called redeveloping answer plans. So once you have redeveloped your fresh answer plans, compare them to TCS's answer plans to further refine your answering technique and understanding, and at the same time improve your application skills. Also, you gain access to 15 masterclasses in total. So from mocks 2 to 6, we have developed masterclasses. In a little while, you will understand how we conduct masterclasses and what's covered within our masterclasses. So the objective of developing these masterclasses is to make sure that you learn each theoretical element which is covered within our mock exams, and at the same time significantly improve your application skills also, so that you gain an understanding of the logic behind each answer, or you understand or learn how to structure each answer appropriately. So by gaining access to these 15 masterclasses, you can overcome your issues with theory knowledge and issues with application. So once you have access to all these resources, you can pass for sure, hence the pass guarantee. So if you invest on the premium package and end up failing, you will gain access to the premium package in your subsequent sitting free of charge. However, in order to claim the pass guarantee, you have to complete these 3 requirements. You have to complete all 6 mock exams. If not, you are testing your luck at your real examination. Just because you invest on premium, and if you end up attempting 3 or 4 mocks, you cannot pass the exam. Instead, in order to make sure that you are 100% ready, you have to attempt all 6 mock exams under exam conditions. And when attempting each mock exam, do it on your own. Don't refer to any of the suggested answers, the answer plans, or the master classes, because your objective of attempting mocks under exam conditions is to make sure that you fine-tune your answering time management and stress management techniques, and at the same time understand what your shortcomings are. Because when you understand your shortcomings, you can take steps to overcome them. So, and at the same time, you are supposed to meet the performance criteria of 40% or higher for the last 3 mock exams. We have come up with this criteria to make sure that you do a serious job when attempting the last 3 mocks, especially since you are receiving tutor feedback for them. So once you have completed these 3 requirements, you will pass for sure. That's why we provide a pass guarantee. So if you opt for the premium pack, the price is £899, which can be paid in 2 installments of £449 each. Or if you opt to pay in full, you save £100. If so, the price is just £799. So you can click on either of these buttons and invest on your preferred package. And let me quickly shift your attention towards the SCS study plan, the original 8-week study plan, which we shared in our first webinar. Some of you guys are sticking to this, so you need not spend a lot of time. Simply, you are supposed to spend, we are in week number 6, so you are supposed to spend 9 hours of study time this week as well, just like what you have done across the previous 5 weeks. So within this week, you should focus your attention towards mock exam 5. So attempt it under exam conditions via the exam platform. And once you are done with the mock exam, watch the 3 masterclasses to learn theory and improve application. And once you have learned theory and application, test your knowledge by redeveloping answer plans. And after you have redeveloped answer plans, you will receive tutor feedback. And once you have gone through tutor feedback, focus on the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow, and again, redevelop answer plans on your own and compare your fresh answer plans to TCS's answer plans to further refine your answering technique. So within this week, stick to the three-step process. Step number 1 is to attempt the mock exam under exam conditions. Step number 2 is to watch the master classes to learn theory and improve application. And step number 3 is to redevelop answer plans, thereby conducting revision focused on the same mock exam. So stick to this process within this week as well. And if you are sticking to the 3-week study plan, within this week, you have to attempt 2 mock exams, mocks 3 and 4. And although you are supposed to attempt 2 mock exams within this week, stick to the same 3-step process. Attempt the mock exam, watch master classes, and redevelop answer plans, which is the best way to significantly improve your answering technique. All right. So having said that, let's direct our attention towards mock exam 1 concerning your P3 syllabus. So before we walk into or before I take you through the mock exam and its answer, let me quickly remind you of the P3 related syllabus elements which you need to be conversant with when conducting preparations for the upcoming SCS exam. So so your under your P3 exam or P3 syllabus, a high level of prominence is provided towards risk identification and mitigation. So the examiner will be heavily testing your ability to identify certain risks based on the information presented in each scenario. And at the same time, the examiner will try to figure out whether you can come up with appropriate and successful mitigatory strategies on your own. So these are the different types of risks which we have covered within our mock exams. So that's exactly why I said you need to attempt all 6 mock exams to gain a good understanding of how to tackle each type of syllabus element. If not, you'd be testing your luck at your real exam. So you have to be conversant with how to deal with cybersecurity risk, because as per the pre-seen document, there are shortcomings in the systems which we use within the mining industry, because as you know, processing plants are run automatically utilizing different systems. However, there are security vulnerabilities due to us using these different types of systems. Not just us, the entire industry is adversely affected due to security vulnerabilities created by these different systems which are used within our remote processing plants. So definitely your knowledge pertaining to cybersecurity risk and how to manage a cybersecurity threat will be tested at your exam, because it's specifically mentioned within your pre-seen document. Then how to deal with social engineering risks will be tested. How to deal with data security and privacy, because we are sharing a lot of as per the pre-seen, we are sharing a lot of information with our customers, and we have our own research facility, and this research facility is used by universities, and we collaborate with our customers to find better ways of using lithium in industrial settings. So there's a lot of research going on and information sharing. So when doing these things, we have to make sure that we uphold data security and privacy. So definitely issues pertaining to breaches of data security and privacy will be tested at the exam. And reputational risk will be tested, because our company had been in operation for a long period of time. We are one of the largest players within the industry. Actually speaking, us and 3 other players control 50% of the market. So definitely, if something goes wrong, our reputation will be adversely affected. So there will definitely be questions tied to reputational risks. Then we are dealing with different clients spread across the world. Actually speaking, we are shipping our content or our processed lithium to 90 different countries, which exposes us to significant economic risk. And on top of that, looking at our mines, we operate in 2 countries which are politically unstable. So because of that, we will be exposed to economic risk, especially when dealing with countries which are politically unstable, because when there's political instability, definitely it leads to economic instability as well. So your knowledge pertaining to economic risk will be tested. And if you had gone through your pre-seen document, you would have seen that there's a risk report. And within this risk report, there are 6 different risks which are mentioned. So we have focused our attentions. We have made sure to cover all these 6 different risks within our mock exam, within our mock exams, on top of the general type of risks, which are again aligned with what appears within your pre-seen. These things are not mentioned within your risk report. However, all these risks are totally aligned with what appears within your pre-seen document. And these 6 different risks are specifically mentioned within your risk report. So definitely you have to be conversant about how we are dealing with each type of risk. You need to be conversant about whether the mitigatory action which you have mentioned within the risk report is appropriate or not. If the mitigatory action is not up to the required level of standard, then you have to be ready to suggest better mitigatory strategies with the intention of coming up with foolproof risk management strategies concerning these 6 different risks. So we have included in questions pertaining to price risk, resource constraint risk. This is a significant risk which we are exposed to because we don't have access to high quality and sizable mines. The last mine was purchased way back in 2004, which is quite normal. There's nothing wrong with it, but we are exposed to a constraint in resources or a scarcity of resources when it comes to lithium mining. So it's highlighted within your risk report as well. And we are exposed to regulation risk. Since we are dealing with so many clients, as well as we are running our mines across the world, we are exposed to significant levels of currency risk, and also we are exposed to political risk. Especially, it's mentioned, as I mentioned earlier, within your pre-seen, it's mentioned that 2 of the mines are located in politically unstable countries. So in such an environment, we are exposed to significant levels of political risk as well. And we are also exposed to operational and accident risks, and all these things are covered within the mock exam. So you need to know how to tackle or how to deal with each type of risk. And at the same time, your knowledge pertaining to how to update the risk register concerning any of these risks will be tested at the exams. There's a certain methodology which you need to adhere to when updating the risk register. So we have included several questions concerning this element so that you gain a good understanding of how to deal with each type of risk, how to identify different risks, how to come up with mitigatory action, foolproof methods of managing each type of risk, and at the same time, how to update the risk register as and when needed as well. All right, then your knowledge pertaining to internal audit responsibilities and internal controls will be tested at the exam. So when conducting business negotiations such as acquisition negotiations or takeovers, definitely the internal audit department should come into play. So your knowledge pertaining to what the internal audit department should focus on when conducting these negotiations will be tested at the exam. And you have to be conversant with what to cover when conducting internal audits, because if you don't keep track of, if you don't conduct internal audits, we can't keep track of our control environment in a successful manner. So in order to make sure that everybody is sticking to these controls, we have to do compliance testing as well. So you need to know what we need to focus on when conducting compliance audits or compliance testing at your real examination. And you are supposed to come up with or recommend internal controls considering what's highlighted within the scenario. So definitely your knowledge pertaining to suggesting internal controls to prevent a data breach will be tested, because it's specifically mentioned within the pre-seen that our software exposes us to security vulnerabilities. And at the same time, you have to also have the ability to read through each scenario and understand certain shortcomings which are highlighted within the scenario, and based on the information presented, come up with preventive measures to fix different types of internal issues. So we have covered all these elements within our 6 mock exams. So in today's session, I'm going to direct your attention towards a question to do with currency risk. All right, so let me take you to the question. So I'm going to direct your attention towards the last subtask, which appears within mock exam 1. And there's another P3 related question in section 2 with regards to internal audit responsibilities. Okay, so mock 1 section 2, there's another question to do with P3, and I've already discussed this question in November 2024 in the November 2024 workshop series. So please go watch the recorded version, which can be accessed via our YouTube handle. It goes as workshop P3. So go watch it. In that workshop, I've explained how to tackle this type of a question to do with internal audit responsibilities. However, in this session, I'm going to direct your attention towards a question to do with currency risks. All right, so this is the same question which I focused on last week when taking you through an F3 related question. So as I highlighted in last week's session, we are trying to go for an escrow. We are trying to link up with an escrow services provider, and this escrow services provider is located within a different country, which is using the C dollar. Our currency, as you know, is the P dollar. However, this country, since it's located within another country, which is known as Sealand, they are using the C dollar as their currency. And we escrow, which is the name of the company, insists on being paid in its home currency because it is stronger than the P dollar. The exchange rate is presently 3 P dollars to 1 C dollar, which indicates the fact that the C dollar is significantly expensive compared to our P dollar, because we have to pay 3 P dollars to purchase just one single C dollar, which indicates the fact that the C dollar carries a high level of strength compared to our local currency, which is the P dollar. All right, so there's a quotation at the very end of the question as part of the reference material. You can see it. So there's an initial escrow setup and integration. So this is a one-time payment which comes up to 300 million C dollars, and there is an annual escrow management fee which comes up to C dollars 200 million. So this annual fee, since it's an annual fee, we have to pay this $200 million every year. So when paying 200 million, when we have to pay 200 million C dollars every year, this exposes us to significant forex risk, because when the exchange rates fluctuate, then we are not too conversant about how much we'd have to pay in P dollar terms in the future, because we need not worry too much about the initial setup cost because it's a one-time payment. But every year we have to pay $200 million in C dollar terms. So which because of this, we are exposed to forex risk exposure. All right, so let's look at the requirement. You are supposed to recommend with reasons the approach that we should take to manage the currency risks associated with the annual escrow management fee in future years. All right, so after reading through the scenario, what is your first step? You are supposed to reiterate the requirement in your own words in a concise manner with two objectives in mind. Objective number one is to gain a clear understanding of what the requirement is in a simpler manner. And at the same time, whilst developing the answer plan, you are supposed to always refer back to a simplified requirement and see whether you are developing an answer which is 100% aligned with what appears within your requirement. So this is this requirement is quite long. Let's see how we are supposed to simplify it. So I've indicated how to do this in the answer plan, which I've developed for mock exam 1. So it's simply a matter of explaining how to manage currency risks. So this is quite long. Recommend with reasons the approach that we should take to manage the currency risks associated with the annual escrow management fee in future years. So I've simplified it as how to manage currency risks. So when you simplify the requirement, it helps you immensely, especially when you are operating in a time-pressured environment. So you are in section number 3, and you have already spent a lot of time on sections 1 and 2. And by the time you are in section number 3, you will experience fatigue. And due to this fatigue, you would experience stress. And it makes your life easy when you have access to simplified requirements, which will help you gain a good understanding of what you're supposed to achieve in your answer. So how to manage currency risks, and your next step is to understand how much marks are allocated based on the weightage provided. So the weightage provided is 20%. In total, 50 marks are allocated for each section. So 20% of 50 marks is 10 marks in total. So as you know, each valid point carries 2 or 3 marks. So in order to gain 10 marks, you need to come up with 3 to 5 valid points within your answer. So you need to come up with 3 to 5 valid points. Why? Because each valid point is allocated 2 or 3 marks. So in order to gain 10 marks, you need to come up with 3 to 5 valid points within your answer. Okay, so let's direct our attention towards the answer. And I want you to be conversant of how we manage our currency risks within our company at the moment, based on what appears within your risk report, which appears within your pre-scene document. So let me quickly take you to the pre-scene. Let's yes. So you would have seen something like this in your pre-scene, which is the principal risk report. However, with the intention of making sure that you gain a clearer understanding of how we tackle each type of risk, I've evaluated each risk in depth and included it within the annotated pre-scene. So currency risk due to global sales. Rotomyne operates in 6 countries and sells to customers in 90 countries, as I mentioned earlier, exposing the company to fluctuations in exchange rate, which can impact revenues and costs. And what type of mitigatory action have we come up with? The company has an in-house treasury team that monitors currency risks and implements strategies to mitigate those risks. So there's no mention about the type of methodologies or the techniques which we are using to manage currency risks. So the examinee is clearly hinting the fact that this will be tested at the exam, because it's simply mentioned that our in-house treasury team is keeping track of currency fluctuation, and they are trying to manage them. There's no mention about how they are trying to manage the currency risk exposure. So I've come up with an assessment based on the information presented. I've said that having a dedicated treasury team to manage currency risk is a strong internal control. So it's good that the treasury department is actually handling currency risks. However, relying solely on internal monitoring might not be sufficient to guard against major currency shifts. Why am I saying this? Especially given the fact that we are operating in we are selling to customers spread across 90 countries, and we are operating in 6 different countries, 2 of which are politically unstable. So we are exposed to significant levels of currency shifts, and just expecting our internal treasury department to handle it won't help us in the future, especially given the volatility in global markets. So it's best that we come up with enhancements with the intention of coming up with foolproof or holistic methods of managing these currency risks in a successful manner in the future. So I've suggested different enhancements. We should opt for currency forward contracts, options contracts, and swaps. And at the same time, we can go for natural hedges as well. Okay, so these are the information which appears within your pre-scene, and I've suggested how we can enhance the way in which we manage our forex risk exposure. All right, so let's now look at how you should structure your answer. So I've come up with a main heading which goes as currency risk, which is in bold and underlined format. So I've come up with different techniques. As I've mentioned within the pre-scene, I've mentioned the fact that we can use forward contracts, options, swaps, and at the same time, we can opt for leading and lagging techniques as well. So all these elements are covered within your P3 syllabus as means of managing your forex exposure or currency risk exposure. So let's try to understand, okay, now you know the theoretical elements, because these are the options at our disposal. Then let's try to figure out what you need to do with regards to application. So forward contracts is a situation where we fix exchange rates for future $C payments, because every year we have to make payments amounting to 200 million C dollars. So definitely we are exposed to exchange rate fluctuations and related to it risks in the future, because if the P dollar and C dollar exchange rates, it will definitely change, appreciate or depreciate, and based on it we are exposed to we can be exposed to losses in the future. So with the intention of overcoming this issue, we can fix the exchange rates for future C dollar payments. So we can say, look here, we can get in touch with escrow and say, look here, we'll fix the exchange rate at 3 P dollars is to 1 C dollar. Or we can come up with a better exchange rate, which could be 2 P dollars is to 1 C dollar, or likewise it is based on how we conduct our negotiations with escrow. So we are trying to, under a forward contract, we are trying to fix the exchange rate for future C dollar payments. This does not eradicate our currency risk exposure. However, we are certain about how much we need to pay in the future in C dollar as well as P dollar terms. So this certainty helps us when managing our working capital, because rather than being clueless of how much we'd have to pay in the future for the annual maintenance related services, we will know for sure when we sign a forward contract, we will know for sure how much we are supposed to pay in the future. And when this is the case, it helps us with our budgeting initiatives. We can get in touch with our finance providers and make sure we have the money at our disposal. And at the same time, we can manage our working capital appropriately when we know how much we are supposed to pay in the future. Also, another option at our disposal is to opt for an options contract. So an options contract is something which gives us the right, not the obligation, to buy or sell currencies at a set price in the future. So we have the option. That's why this tool is known as an options contract. We are not obligated to stick to it. We have the right to use these options, a call option or a put option, thereby buying or selling currencies at a set price in the future. And the benefit of an options contract is the fact that it provides us with flexibility, because if we want, we can use these options contracts, or if we don't want them, we can opt out of it. So we are benefited by a high level of flexibility. However, due to this benefit, due to us having a high level of flexibility, we must pay a premium. So the options contracts are a bit expensive compared to forward contracts, because we are benefiting from the flexibility at our disposal. And another option at our disposal is to go for a swap contract. So this is a situation where two parties exchange the principal amount and the interest payments in different countries. So we get in touch with finance providers and say, okay, look here, we need 200 million C dollars every year. So we will share the principal amount, which is 200 million C dollars. So we will get it from the finance provider, and in return, we will share today's the P dollar, the same amount of money in P dollar terms at today's spot rate. And at the same time, we fix the interest rates as well, because it's something like we are borrowing money from a finance provider. So we have to come up with a fixed interest rate. So usually there could be flexible interest rates as well, but usually under a swap agreement, the interest rate is fixed as well, and we settle those in our home currency. So the banks will give us the C dollars which are required, and in return, we make the payments in P dollar terms. So these are means of managing our forex risk exposure. However, this comes with certain issues. This is a complex process, because we need to sign legal agreements involving multiple financial institutions, which increases the complexity. And on top of that, we are exposed to transaction costs as well, because we have to spend money on setup costs. We have to bear banking fees. And if we are dealing via intermediaries, we have to pay them as well. So swaps are expensive than options, and options are expensive than forward contracts. And also, we can go for a leading and lagging scenario. This is a situation where we time payments to capitalize on favorable Forex movements. So how can we time our payments to capitalize on favorable Forex movements? We can do something like paying an advance when the exchange rate is in our favor. So if the exchange rate comes up to the current exchange rate as per the scenario is 3p dollars is to 1c dollar, let's assume 6 months down the line, the exchange rate comes down to 2p dollars is to 1c dollar, which is going to be beneficial for us. So when the exchange rate comes down, what we do is we can pay an advance with the intention of managing our Forex exposure. And when we are paying an advance, we escrow will definitely prefer an early settlement because we escrow is anyways getting paid in C dollar terms. It's mentioned within the scenario that we escrow wants to get paid in C dollar terms. So they are taking steps to eradicate their Forex exposure. So we can do anything at our disposal with the intention of reducing our Forex exposure. So if we pay in advance, we escrow will prefer early settlements. However, we should consider the opportunity cost of making these early payments because we need to understand if we go for these advances, how it will impact our working capital, and in return, how it will impact the way in which we conduct our daily operations. And on top of that, we should monitor Forex movements and come up with forecasts to benefit fully from this strategy. So we have to rely on the skills and capabilities of our treasury department. If our treasury team is conversant about keeping tracks of Forex movements and coming up with accurate forecasts, then we can easily go for a leading and lagging system with the intention of managing our Forex risk exposure. And on top of that, irrespective of which tool we use, we have to communicate the chosen plan with to our shareholders with the intention of ensuring that they know that we have taken appropriate measures to keep track of Forex movements and at the same time come up with better mitigate reaction, because these things are not highlighted within the risk report. So some investors might not feel comfortable about the way in which we handle our Forex risk exposure. So, after selecting a certain tool, we have to explain the logic behind us using a certain tool and keep the shareholders informed so that they are on board as well. All right. So the same elements I've included within the annotated pre-scene as enhancements. So these are the same things which I've highlighted within this answer. So it makes your life easy when you have access to this document, because concerning the 6 risks which are highlighted within your pre-scene document, I've highlighted what we need to do, and these are the same things which you need to include within your answers when each type of risk is tested at your exam. And as I mentioned earlier, we have made sure to cover all these 6 risks and pre-scene specific other generic risks which are not highlighted within the risk report as well when developing the 6 mock exams. So that's exactly why you need to attempt all 6 mock exams, not just attempt them. You have to conduct your revision, thereby redeveloping answer plans. So this is what an answer plan looks like. So I explained everything to you based on the answer plan which I've developed for mock exam 1. So likewise, we have developed answer plans focused on all 6 mock exams. And just like how I explained the logic behind the answer, as well as the theoretical elements, I've explained the remaining mock exams, the questions and answers of the remaining mock exams via our master classes as well. Okay, so after you have developed this answer plan, this is not your final answer. This should not be your final answer. Your final answer should be something like this. As I mentioned earlier, you should not provide answers in bullet points or single line sentences. Instead, you have to come up with a paragraph per answer point. So I've come up with the same heading, a main heading, which goes as currency risk. And you can see that I've come up with different paragraphs, and each paragraph consists of 2 to 4 line sentences. So there's just 2 lines in here. But if you look at these paragraphs, there's 3 lines, 4 lines, and whatnot. Okay, so this is what your final answer should look like. It should not look like this. So I've asked you to stick to this answering technique when developing something called the answer plan. You should do this before you finalize your answer. I've highlighted an answering technique in webinar 3, in which you are supposed to allocate something like 30 minutes to plan out your answer, thereby developing something like this, developing an answer plan. Once you're done with it, utilizing your remaining time, which is 25 to 30 minutes once more, you are supposed to, expand your answer plan, thereby developing a paragraph per point highlighted within your answer plan. Okay, all right. So having said that, I'm happy to say that we achieved a 90% pass rate for the November SCS sittings, and those who stuck to our study process, our study plan, comfortably passed the exam. Although most students, it was their first sitting, because most are coming through exemptions these days. So this is the first CIMA examination. Although it's their first sitting, they ended up passing comfortably simply by sticking to the process which we have highlighted. So I hope you guys are sticking to the study plan. If not, if you're yet to start, you still have time. You'd have to work a lot harder compared to those who have already started their preparation. Still, you have enough time if you stick to our 3-step process, which is to attempt a mock exam, watch master classes to learn theory and improve application, and then redevelop answer plans to refine your answering technique. Okay, so I'm moving on to the Q&A. Let me pause the recording. All right, folks. So thank you very much for those questions. I hope I addressed everything. Another question came through. Is there a difference between economic risk and currency risk? Yes, definitely. That's exactly why I've highlighted these two risks separately. I can't find this document, so I've highlighted these two risks separately when developing the mock exams, because economic risk is everything has to. Currency risk is part and parcel of economic risk, but these are two different risks, and you need to know how to tackle each type of risk separately when conducting your preparations. Okay. And if you guys still have questions, you can drop a message via the chat. So if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. So visit our website and click on the contact button and drop us a message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you via email, and you can email us at info@study@tcs.com or WhatsApp us on this number. Also, I invite you guys to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because the recorded versions of the webinars and workshops which are conducted on a weekly basis are uploaded to our YouTube handle. And as I suggested, go watch the recorded version of last session's November 2024's P3 workshop, so that you gain an understanding of how to tackle the question which I've highlighted within section number 2, subtask B. And I invite you guys to subscribe to our TikTok handle as well, so that you gain access to a set of videos. For instance, on your way to office, keep watching these TikTok videos with the intention of keeping yourselves reminded of what appears within the pre-scene, because we have developed a good pre-scene mind map as part of these TikTok videos. All right, so having said that, it brings us to the end of today's workshop. Thank you very much for joining the session. And these are the final 2.5 weeks. I want you guys to stick to the study plan, keep pushing forward. You will feel stressed, don't worry, because any student feels stressed closer to a competitive exam such as this. This is not an easy examination, I know that, but keep pushing forward, stick to our 3-step process. If you do so, you'll be successful at your real examination. So I'll see you guys next week, in which I'm going to take you through a question to do with your E3 syllabus. Thank you for joining. I'll see you guys next week.